Yo, check. Episode 4, social class. We up in this thing. David Jones, Mac J. Trying to stay safe, trying to stay sane, trying to stay healthy. You know what I mean? But we're at peace in this Rona virus, bro. Fuck the Rona. I got I got to tell you too. I didn't tell you
Get it off.
on Saturday, bro. It was Saturday morning. I'm not going to put the artist or anything out there like that. I was going to get tatted.
Uh-huh.
Bro, fuck the Rona. The tattoo they were doing, not Saturday, my bad. It was
Oh,
Friday
Friday the
for
13th.
Friday the
Yeah, yeah,
13th.
yeah.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. They were having a deal, and it was like $20. Bring your own design. Same tattoo artist that did my Nipsey. So like it was, it was a kick ass deal. Like I thought that shit was about to be dope. All the way in Moreno Valley. I got up. The shop opened at 7 o'clock, and it was going to take me like an hour to get there. So I woke up at 5:30, got in the car. I ended up running on CPT though. I didn't get in the car till like 6:30 because I like took a shower and shit. But I ended up like being a little bit late, and I was kind of worried because I was like, fuck, like I got there late. I was pretty sure other people were going to try to pick up on the deal.
Yeah.
So I pull up a tattoo studio. I pull up at like 7:15. They open. They were supposed to open at 7, and there's just a whole bunch of cars in the parking lot, and people are like in their cars and everything. I'm like, okay. So I get out the car, walk up to the door. The door's locked. I'm like, fuck, they're not even open yet. It's 7:15. So I go back. I sit in the car, and maybe about like 5 minutes passes, and then this dude comes out, opens the curtains, and unlocks the door. All of a sudden, a rush, bro. All the people in the parking lot just got up, just fucking started like
inside.
booking it to the door. But I parked right in front of the tattoo studio. So like I saw everybody get out their cars, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" And so I got out real fast, and I ran up to the door. I ended up being first, right? So I was hyped because there was like 20 people behind me. I'm like, "Shit!" Like I'm first. So I go in, and dude's like, just like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Dude's super tatted and shit. He's like, "What's up, bro?" He's like, "Just put your name on the list, bro, and fuck it, bro. Like, the artists, they're about to be here in a minute, but just put your name on the list, bro. We'll be right with you." I'm like, "All right, bet." Bro, I go to put my name on the list. I see about 5 identical signs, bro. I didn't want to believe this shit. Saying no hand tattoos, no neck tattoos, no back tattoos, no chest tattoos, no shoulder tattoos, no thigh tattoos, no stomach tattoos. They're literally not tattooing anything but your forearm and your fucking your calf, your leg.
Damn.
And I was hot because I was going to get my neck done. Like I literally worked up, like I was going to get my neck and my hand done.
Oh shit.
And once I saw those signs, I was just like, I wasn't going to put something on my body that I didn't want.
Yeah.
That I didn't want on me just
Facts.
sporadically because,
Yeah.
I mean, my whole arm is covered.
Yeah.
And then they're not doing shoulder, like I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but what's the point in them tattooing you anyway? I was like, why would they even do your armor? Because they disinfected and shit. Like, how come you can do this, but you can't do that? Or you can do this and you can't do that?
Shit.
I was like, what the fuck is their point? So I didn't even want to ask, bro. I was just kind of like, I just looked at the sign. And then I looked at another one, even though it was identical, just to make sure I read it right. And then I was like, damn. And I got back in the car and had like a fucking 3-hour drive back home. That shit was whack. But fuck the Rona, bro. That's what I wanted to start off saying. Fuck the Rona. And get into some more serious conversation about it. Because, like, bro, like, I've been so... Well, first, what do you think about it? I don't even want to go off yet. What do you think about this shit?
I think people need to just stay calm. I think the panic isn't gonna help. Panic doesn't help solve any problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's serious, but like I feel like it's gonna pass over too. Yeah. And it seems like it's mostly affecting. Like it definitely affects the vulnerable populations, like people that have pre-existing conditions, like elderly, even or young people too, that have pre-existing conditions, but. I don't know. I feel like it's more panic than anything, and that people should just really stay calm. Yeah. And that like, at first I thought it was more sinister. I didn't like for sure think it was like biological warfare, but I just thought like, a disease out of China, like whose economy is like just getting stronger, and it's like.
I don't feel that.
I was like, I don't know. That feels like, I don't know. But then like, I was listening to some different stuff. Like they didn't think it was like that, and. Because I remember, I don't know if you've seen the movie Contagion, but it's crazy how spot on Contagion came out in like 2011, 2012. Well, it's basically, I was telling you about it before. A bat falls into the pig area, and the food that they're eating, the pig eats the food. That pig gets killed, gets sent to a restaurant, and then gets cut up. The chef goes to take a picture with somebody that's eating in the restaurant, doesn't wash his hands. Touches the lady touches her face. She gets sick, gets on a flight from China back to to San Francisco, and then it just spreads. Yeah, like crazy, literally. And it's crazy because that came out in 2011 or 12, but it's like literally like that could have been the same thing. Like, because that's kind of like what I've been hearing at least is like that's what people. It's like.
Yeah, it started in Wuhan, China, and it was pretty much like it was with the food. It was something with food or animals, wild animals or something like that. That's what I was thinking. And it was a virus that they had that got cross-contaminated with a human virus, and then humans and shit went on from there. And now we all got it. Yeah, no, man. But I was just, honestly, like, just reflecting on where we're at right now. Because right now we're low-key, like, in the middle of the madness still, as far as everybody else is concerned. But I'm at peace with it, mostly because, I mean, I feel like as long as you're living in your purpose, like there's no fear. You know what I mean? Like there's no, because if I'm willing to die behind what I'm going to say, you know what I mean? It's kind of like what I don't really have anything to really worry about. But it's just honestly made me disappointed in how selfish we are. You know what I mean? Just to see like where we're at as humans, bro. Like everybody rushing out, buying up shit from everybody, like. And it's been proven already, like you said, like who's more susceptible to the disease? It's older people, you know what I mean? It's young children. And most of the time, like I've been to the store. I've been outside. I don't see a lot of old people. You know what I'm saying? Like probably because they're probably trying to stay inside. They, you know, I mean, they want to be well, but it's just crazy how like the shelves are empty and it's just, you see that we have a problem and this is how everybody reacts to it. You know what I mean? And it's just so, I want to get off of saying the word crazy. I say it's so crazy too much, but it's just,
it's a reflection.
It's disappointing. You know what I mean? It's really disappointing. Like I'm really disappointed in us as humans and how selfish we are and just stacking up on shit that we don't need. You know what I mean? I saw a video of this woman and she started crying because there weren't any diapers that she could afford because everybody had taken, you know, like the smaller, I guess the smaller count diapers or whatever. And it's like, it's people like that, you know what I mean? That people are out here. Like I saw another thing talking about, do you know what WIC is? It's like government assisted food type of thing.
Vaguely.
WIC is like, it's like a program that's like funded by the government. I used to work at Albertsons, so you know, I see all that shit. But it's not food stamps, but it's like, similar. You know, for mothers pretty much. Yeah. And it's there's certain brands that you can get with WIC, and a lot of shit you can't. Yeah. Most of it, it's not even necessarily like the lowest brand shit. It's just certain stuff only, you know, you can get with WIC. It's like everybody's just going out, just carelessly buying. They're buying all that shit. Yeah. So people that survive off of WIC, they go and that's the only thing they can get because they don't, you know what I mean? They don't have any money to get anything else. And like they usually get like your Enfamil and all that stuff if you have a child. But it's like, since everybody's just taking, there's certain things that we can't supply. And I heard, I was driving home today on the radio. They were saying that even if we have a government shutdown, don't panic because we don't have a food shortage. You know, like don't go out and just buy all this shit for no reason. Yeah. Like people are just, man, it just makes me sad, like I said, how selfish we are and just how we react in a panic. You know what I mean? Fighting over fucking toilet paper and paper towels. Like, it's ridiculous.
I feel like the selfishness is highlighted in people trying to resell that shit. That's what's crazy, bro. It's like, so people are buying it because they see it's a panic and then they're like, I'm just trying to capitalize. Yeah, and I feel like that's a product of rampant capitalism. And it's like kind of unchecked capitalism. Because it's like, it really is, I feel like, just a reflection, kind of people's, and that's the problem. Like, I've been, like, it's the morality. Yeah. I say the morality in America is eroding, but it's like, has it ever really been any morality? Yeah. From the jump? And it's like, that's debatable, I feel like, at least in my opinion. Yeah. And that's kind of just what we're seeing now is like people, because at the same time, I feel like some people that are kind of waiting for this. It's like some people that like want to see it descend into more chaos. Because I was just reading something and like not that it's gonna go in that direction, but it was just the article was essentially talking about the uptick in gun sales and like how more and more people are starting to buy it. Yeah, like it's real.
Yeah,
like,
bro. I have a homie. He went to get some ammo. No ammo.
Yeah, it's you know, it's because people have that in mind. What I say, but there's some people that wanted to get to that because like that anarchy and that chaos. That's kind of like they feel like there's freedom in that.
Yeah,
it's like that's why they kind of want to see it go into something like that. But it's like it's more panic. You know, people got to stay calm, and it's like you were saying. There's resources.
Yes.
This is America, but it's like it's crazy because like that's also tied into like the land. Like people act like it's crowded, it's overpopulated. You know how much land is like just not used, but it's like people want to live in certain concentrations in certain vicinities, and I get that for work and opportunity, but some of that is superficial too. They're like, I just don't want to live in certain places because like it's simple, you know, because there's not as much like material things to do, but it's like there's plenty of land and there's plenty of resources, but it's like if you convince yourself there's not, you're gonna be panicking. Yeah. And that's kind of what people are doing, I feel like. But it really is it's a mirror. That's kind of like what the article was saying that I was telling you about. That a mirror to the moral relationships people have toward each other. You know.
Yeah, no, man. It honestly, it makes me sad, bro. It really makes me sad to see. And I wanted to touch on too, like how you just spoke about how you see the direct correlation in the gun sales and stuff like that. This is just only with the way my mind works. You know what I mean? This is just my perspective because I told you before I believe in the law of attraction. Yeah. It's so crazy to me. I have a homie. It's like a personal story. You know, I don't mention any names though. I have a homie, and he came over the other day while I was like just getting ready. You know what I mean? Like I was just getting my day started and stuff. He came over a little bit earlier than I'd like him to. But, you know, it's okay. You know, he's my homie. I just let him in and just continue. Like, I was still in the middle of getting dressed and stuff. And I have a routine every morning. Every morning I get up and I play Lovely Day by Bill Withers. And I dust off my desk, dust off, like, my TV and stuff. And make sure my bed is, like, perfectly straight. You see my bed. It's always perfect. And in the middle of that, like I open my window, like let some life in, and then I look at my vision board, which is like right there. I look at my vision board and I read all my goals every day and all the people that, you know, I want to be affected by, you know, anything that I can start to catalyze. Then after that, I kind of like breathe for a minute, like a little like slight meditation, and then I pray. So even though my friend was there, I still carried out with my routine, you know what I mean? And I let him know, I was like, hey, bro, like, I'm about to do this real quick, you know? And it was funny to me how, like, after I got through praying, he starts telling me about, because this is in the midst of the corona shit, too. So after I stopped praying, because I honestly, the reason I have that routine and the reason that I pray and everything, it's honestly, like, it's like a way of me like arming myself for the day. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I feel like side thought, a lot of people really think that everything can happen to everybody but them, good or bad. You know what I mean? Like we hear crazy stories of fucking mass shooters, you know what I mean, coming in stores. We hear stories about people winning the lottery, you know what I mean, right down the street in our city. But everybody thinks that anything can happen to everybody but them, good or bad. And that's just my way of preparing myself, you know what I mean? Because you never know, bro. Like, when you leave that house, not to, like, speak on death, but you don't know if you're coming back. You really don't.
You don't.
So, that's just how I get my day started. But after I finished praying and I got up, I guess he felt kind of, like, obligated. I guess he thought that was where my head was at. So, he started talking about God and stuff and faith and, you know. But for me, it wasn't like that. That's just what I do every day to get my shit started. And, he's like, yeah, man, like all these people are worried, you know what I mean? Like, you know, as long as you have faith, like everything's going to be all right, you know? And I don't even know if he was aware because not even 5 minutes later, he starts telling me about how as soon as he gets home, he's going to have to teach his mom and his stepdad how to use a gun, how to use his gun. And this is like 5 minutes after that, after he tells me about, you know, we don't need to worry and all this stuff, everything's going to be okay. And bringing it back to what I was saying, bro, like, like I said, I believe in the law of attraction, and the way that works is doing something like that is almost like preparing for the worst. It's attracting a bad circumstance to you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to live my life the way that I normally wouldn't, you know what I mean? Just because a circumstance is happening. Obviously, I'm not stupid, you know what I mean? I'm not going to just like take whatever comes to me type of thing, you know? I'm going to try to defend myself, but anything that I wouldn't normally do, like if it's not necessarily warranted, you know, like if there's not fucking tanks and shit coming down the street and I don't need to be at war, I'm not going to try to bring war to me. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like all these people going out and buying guns and stuff, it pushes negativity. It's like it's forcing a situation where we're going to have to use guns.
That's how panic
you know what
spreads
I mean?
too. That's how chaos, you know, it feeds off more chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feeds off of it.
And no, exactly, man. But we just need more peace, more understanding. I wanted to say too, it was so funny. Obviously, the podcast doesn't know this, but we were talking the other day just about how you know, like say, God forbid, like it was a fucking apocalypse, you know what I mean? Like, and this coronavirus shit ended the world and everybody has to fight for their lives, you know what I mean? Those guns need to be used.
It gets that direction.
If it really, if it were to go in that direction, I remember you had said, like, what do people want to live for? You know, and that's a real thing. Like, why, what are you fighting to live for? A lot of people, I feel like, can't answer that question.
Cannot.
They just want to be here. You know what I mean? Like, I remember you had said, like, what do you want to fight? Like, are you fighting for your life so you could go to the club every weekend? Are you fighting to have a nice car?
To keep maintaining meaningless friendships.
Exactly,
you know,
to keep maintaining.
Talking about some nonsense that don't matter.
Exactly. Like, what are you here for? What's the reason that you want to be here? And a lot of people, I was talking to my cousin. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and you always say, like, before you say some shit like that, you're always just like, not to sound cynical. Well, I didn't brief her like that. Mm-hmm. And I just told her, I was like, what do you want to live for? And like, I was passionate too. So she was kind of like, well, I mean, you know, like, people have their families that they love. I'm like, no, like, you're missing what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm like, what do you want to be here for? Like, what is your purpose? You know? And a lot of people can't answer that question. So I find that that's why you have a lot of people that are all over the place. Like, everything is so sporadic. Because like I started off saying, I know my purpose. And when you're living in your purpose, you have peace. Mm-hmm. You know, and as long as I know that I'm fulfilling myself, you know what I mean? By living the way that I want to and the way that I feel is, you know, necessary and right and progressive as far as the message that I'll leave here when I'm gone, then it's like, why? What am I scared for? I remember you had said you'd rather live a full life than a long life, and that shit really hit me, bro. Like, that was a bar.
That's the way I think. That's my whole mindset, bro.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like, you'd rather. I've noticed that a lot of people who have heavily impacted the world, they don't have as many years. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even necessary.
They don't need as
many. They didn't need them. You know what I mean? They didn't need them. And man, there's some questions that I can't even answer, some things I can't even really articulate right now. But it's just like, what do you want to be here for? You know what I mean? And I feel like I know why I want to be here, and that's why I have peace. Because I don't really mind going, you know? No. Yeah, no, I don't. If it happens, it happens. There's a lot of things that are out of our control. Yeah. And I feel like I've kind of accepted those things, you know?
For sure. I feel exactly. I was going to say, I feel like it's tied into your outlook and your approach to death. Yeah. You know, you're way more at peace with it than other people. Yeah. And like, I feel the same way too, where it's like I said, it's about fullness. It's not necessarily about length. And it's like, I'm just trying to live a full life. And it's like and that's the other thing you hit on, basically, but you didn't say it. I felt you just not living in fear. Cause like, that's how, like, I don't live my life in fear anymore. Yeah. And it's like, I'd rather live it in love. If it's love and fear, those are two options. I'd rather live it in love. But it's like, even then, I'm not going to live it in fear. That's not a way to live. And it's like, I don't think anyone should live like that. That's why I want people to feel more comfortable telling their stories and being open. You know?
Vulnerable.
Exactly. Don't be afraid of that. Stop living in fear. Like, really just go out and live your truth. Because like I said, if everyone was doing that, then it'd become the norm. But right now, people are hesitant and afraid to, because they know it's not everybody's moving like that. But it's like, that's the direction we're trying to push. That's the way we're trying to go. But it's like, it really is. That's why I feel like this is the perfect time. Because like you're saying, what is people's purpose? And they couldn't answer that. Now that everybody's supposed to be quarantined and in their homes, like, this is the perfect time for self-reflection. Yeah. Who do you want to be? Who do you think you are? Who, you know what I'm saying? All of that, like, figure it out. Think about it if you haven't thought about it. Because it's a great Carl Jung quote where it's just like, thinking is hard. That's why most people judge. And it's so true. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand there's a big difference between thinking and judgment. People just sit and judge. And, like, that's human. Like, we make judgments every day. Like, that's a real thing. I'm not above making judgments. Everyone makes judgments. You have to. That's how you survive. But it's like, people got to understand it's a difference between that and thinking. And the problem is, and my thing is, I feel like a lot of social media is just nothing but judgment. There's no thought. It's just like, I'm just sitting, looking at something and judging it, you know, critiquing it. Like, that was cool. That was whack. Nothing further. And it's like, people, and that's, I call that just critical thought. You know, that's what's got to really permeate. And, like, now is the perfect time for people to kind of sit down and, like, critically think and self-analyze. Not only themselves, but just the world around them. Like, how other people are reacting, how this is kind of making us all react. And like I say, calmness is needed. And I feel like now is the perfect time to find that calmness. Because it's weird, because I was even telling you in the conversation I was having the other day with, she's technically my boss. I was just kind of saying, like, for some reason, I got an inner peace, like, right now. And I think you hit on it because it's like, I'm finding my purpose. You know, I think I'm continually finding it, but I think I have found it. And, like, that's what motivates me. But I'm, like, I'm at ease. I'm at peace. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't live in fear, and I'm not afraid of death. Like, I just want to live a full life. And, like, every day, that's what I'm working toward. Living a full life and living my purpose.
Yeah. You hit on something, too, that when you mention, like, social media and stuff too, man, I feel like I'm drawing a blank right now. It's about to come up. I was trying to say, like, it left me. Fuck. It was right there. Hold on, bro. It's gonna come back. Say something. What'd you just say?
Need to rethink. Like, this is the perfect. This is like a pause. So in this pause, we can rethink everything, because it's like we see how the virus is affecting the economy. We see how it's affecting healthcare. We see how it's affecting even prisons. Like, let's take this time to rethink all that, and it's all connected. Now they're talking about giving people $1,000, $2,000. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. It's like general well-being. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, it's so crazy to me, man, how people are comfortable going through their whole life without ever knowing themselves.
Yeah, that's regular.
And it's regular.
In hiding. They literally live their entire lives in hiding.
Yeah, literally, never knowing themselves. And then I feel like a lot of complications happen because I was listening to something, that's where social media had kind of tied into it. The nature of relationships, like romantic relationships, and what people call it, like, goals and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, just based off of interpretation, is so superficial because people don't even know themselves and fight to get in a relationship with somebody that they don't even desire to get to really know.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of empty.
You hit on it a while back, though, and the same thing, too. It's like people get in relationships and then knowing full well who someone is or how someone is, but it's like they look past it, and then meanwhile...
in hopes that it'll change or something.
And then, exactly. Meanwhile, a couple months later, years later, they hate that person for being who they were.
For the shit that they knew.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, I remember when you told me that, I was like, that's exactly what people do. And it's like, that just comes from not knowing themselves, though. You think, like, oh, I need that person, I want that person, but it's like, because you don't know yourself, you're like, that really, like, that's the opposite of what you need, you know? But, like, you don't know that. And people don't know that, and, like, that's the stuff that's, like, important to know.
I feel like that's another testament to us being attracted to the wrong things, too. You know what I mean?
That's a big thing.
I remember I was talking to one of my homies, and, like, you know, we were just shooting the shit, like, being nosy, whatever, and one of our other homies was talking to this girl, you know, and he asked me, he was like, because he had never seen the girl, like, I guess he you know, he didn't know her, but I had, so he was like, you know, he was like, how is she? And I was just like, oh, like, she's really nice, she's really sweet, she's dope, she's a dope person. Nigga started laughing. And I was like, what you laughing for? He's like, you said she was nice, she was sweet, she was like, she must be ugly. I'm like, actually, she's not, though. That's the funny part. She's really attractive, but because that wasn't the first thing that I said, it's crazy because a lot of people assume things like that.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, when you say, like, how is somebody, like, they assume, like, you got to talk about their
if you don't
their
talk
look,
about
their
physical attributes,
appearance,
then it's like
then
they assume they're ugly.
Yeah, no, but she's not ugly, you know? But that was the first thing I mentioned because that's not where my head is, you know, when it comes to who a person is. You know, because I know we're not our shell. You know,
much more than that. That's kind of similar.
Much more than that.
Similar to the homie I was telling you. Like, whenever somebody's name gets brought up, the first thing they're gonna say is like, "Oh, that person's ugly, bro."
Yeah.
Oh, that person's ugly, and it's like, especially girl, because like this is something that I feel like even just in general, guys do a lot. And like, this is what I mean when self-reflect. Like, what do you bring to the table? It's a lot of guys, and it's a lot of people out here just assuming that they're like hot shit. Their shit don't
Hell
stink.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then
Bro.
like they assuming that they're in a position to criticize
Yeah.
everything a woman's doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are you?
Yeah.
You know? And like they don't even know it, but like they're
Yeah.
still gonna sit there and critique and
Mhm.
criticize, and it's just like all I'm saying is self-reflect.
Yeah.
What do you analyze? What you bring to the table? Your strengths, your weaknesses, because that goes back to the other day I was telling you. If I were to ask people, or you just ask people in general, like what are their bad characteristics? What are their weaknesses? Or like what do they what's something exactly people because they've just been ignoring it and suppressing it, and it's like that's what people really gotta. Their bad behaviors and their bad cycles and patterns, like come to terms with that. Like don't keep ignoring it.
No, 100%, man. We need to know ourselves before we get to know anybody else.
It's the only way.
And then once you know yourself, man, I'm telling you, that will bring you so much peace because then it eliminates a lot of insecurities. That's what I found about learning myself. You know what I mean? Then I'm really not insecure at all.
You come to terms with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
like I'm just like, I acknowledge like that's
we all have
what
flaws,
it is.
but
we
it's
all
like,
do.
You know, flaws and insecurities are different. You know?
I remember I was telling somebody the other day that they were perfectly imperfect. And I feel like we all are, man.
That's it.
We're all perfectly imperfect.
That's exactly it.
Nobody can be you better than you can be you. Nobody can be me better than they can be me. And there's things that make me me that you probably don't like. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're not me. That's how it's supposed to be. That's low-key a poem. That's some Dr. Seuss shit.
Nah, that was real life.
Yeah, no, for real though. For real.
And it's like I said, uniqueness is an asset. You know what I'm saying? People got to treat it like that.
Yeah.
So many, and like, this is part of the social consequence of conformity when it's like you tell people they all got to be a certain way, that makes them shed their uniqueness and view it as a bad thing. But it's like that uniqueness is what makes you you. That's what makes you special. Nobody else can do that. Like, hold on to that.
Yeah. That almost makes me think how we were talking earlier about you were hitting on normalization a little bit again. And it kind of made me think, I was thinking earlier today about how, thinking about this podcast, for instance, and all of the dope comments that came into, I wanted to say this shit too. Like, anybody that leaves a comment, I appreciate you. I love you so much. But most of those comments are coming straight to my DMs. Please leave those on the comment section. Like, help a brother out. You know what I mean? Like, show people that you fuck with us. I don't know if you're scared. I don't know what's going on. But a lot of people are DMing me privately. Like, leave it on the comments.
Yeah,
but
let it out.
Yeah, let it out. Let it out. That's the reason. No judgment. Like, you know,
it's appreciated.
No judgment. It's
welcomed
appreciated.
And encouraged.
Yes, please do that. But I was just thinking about how a lot of reactions that I got, not to toot our own horn, but it was like, I love what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? Malcolm said that. You know what I mean? You talking to me, like, you said that. I like what you're doing. And I don't really think we're doing anything. It shouldn't be like that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
What we're doing should be normal. You know what I mean? That's the goal of this. It's to get everybody to start opening up and, you know, tapping into who they are and developing that emotional intelligence and just being self-aware, because that's how it's supposed to be. Everybody's supposed to be. If everybody was talking like this, there'd be no reason for us to sit right here right now. You know what I mean? And show people our conversation, because it would be what everybody's doing. So that's the shift that we need to bring. Like, it's definitely a shift we need to bring.
The social change, the social class is trying to bring about.
Social class, man. But I wanted to hit on too. I feel very strongly that this needs to get covered and this message needs to be put out there, because it's a habit that I realize a lot of people have when it comes to communication, and it's drifting too far away from what the initial topic is. And this is something I learned like at a young age, bro, because I remember my pops, he used to always ask me, like if he would ask me a question and I would start babbling on, or I would like say something else, he'd be like, you never answered my question. This was like at a young age. Yeah. Like I was like 6, 7, 8, you know what I mean? And he was telling me like, when you're in a job interview, you're talking to somebody important and they ask you a question and you give them that shit, then he was like, you know what I mean? You never answered their question. And what are they going to think? They're going to think the same thing. But I noticed just in talking to people, a lot of times, and I feel like this is problem solving. This can relate to beyond communication, that we drift away from the initial topic at hand so far that it just becomes a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's not progressive. That's what I'm trying to say.
The point gets missed, and the solution, you know,
the solution is not even in the question. Yeah. It's not even in existence because we've drifted so far away. And I started thinking about that because I was having a conversation with with one of my friends about our last podcast, and it was referring to the statements that I made on just like the ideology of like masculinity and femininity and how they should work hand in hand. That was my opinion. If you didn't see last podcast, we were just talking about it was dedicated to Women's History Month, and we touched on a few subjects about about women and males' behaviors and more the negative behaviors that men have alluded to over the years that we've put out. But I just made a comment saying that, in my opinion, women's fight for equality, which is definitely necessary, women's fight for equality has kind of drawn like a blurred line. It's kind of in a way diminished, you know what I mean, masculinity by the fight for not the fight, what should I say? Help me, what's the word?
The desire to be something they're not. You know what I'm saying?
The exactly.
Desire to conform to a standard.
It's almost like having to show out too much. You know what I mean? For the damage that has been done.
Overcompensation.
Exactly. Overcompensation for the lack of equality is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like shun what's natural for us to be a men. It's natural for men to be providers. You know what I mean? And it's natural for men to want to take care of their families. And it's like when you get rid of that. You know what I mean? Essentially saying, like, I don't need a man for anything. Niggas ain't shit. Like, you know what I mean? That causes a little turmoil and problem within a man because it's just like, I don't know. It's just all jumbled up. But bottom line, I was just talking to her about that, and then she brought up gender identification. And before I even started the conversation, I'm pretty sure I even said it in the last podcast too. I was like, I'm not talking about sexuality or what you think you are or not. I'm just talking about the basic principles of being a man and being a woman. Yeah. And then throughout our conversation, it got into a whole nother type of shit. But then I stopped it though. Cause after I let her talk, but then I was just kind of like, you know what I mean? Gave me my opinion on what I was trying to say, in the beginning. Cause I really wanted the feedback because she was a woman. Yeah. And I didn't necessarily know where I was at, you know what I mean? With my opinion. But I look at, like I said, communication is like problem solving. Like I remember when I was in high school and taking algebra. Do you remember PEMDAS?
Yeah.
Like parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, that thing. Yeah. There's an order to how we need to go about things. And this is a fire metaphor, bro. Yeah, like with PEMDAS, like you have to do the parentheses and the exponents before you can add or subtract, or else the equation is going to be all fucked up. Yeah. It's not going to be right. Yeah. Same way with communication, the same way with solving these problems. We have to solve the root. We have to solve what's in the parentheses first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Before we can add what's in this parentheses and what's in this bracket together. You know what I'm saying? There's an order to where we have to do things. The same thing with communication. We can't try to skip, you know what I mean, to the advanced steps before we just solve the basic root of what's going on. And I feel like that would help us so much if we just kind of took a step back and slowed down and, you know what I mean, just really took our time in solving these issues in order to get an understanding of things, you know what I mean? Yeah. But
it's like a specified approach, kind of. But that kind of even goes back to like universal morals almost, where it's like there should be like an underlying, like a general humanity that's kind of practiced throughout the world. Yeah. But it's like, I feel like that's necessary. Like that's for the betterment of everybody, of the average person. Yeah. Like those kind of things. I feel like.
Yeah, for real.
Are important.
Yeah.
I was drawing a blank a little bit, but I feel like it's definitely like the universalness of it. I feel like that's the thing. That's kind of what I was trying to touch on. Mm-hmm.
Got the coronavirus or some shit, bro? I'm drawing a blank too, bro. Everything.
Yeah. No, I've been doing that recently though. It's just kind of been like.
What's been up with you? Because man? What's been going on?
No, I mean it's like the analogy when you hear people saying like their brains like, oh, my brain's like the computer thing with 10 tabs open. That's real. Like I really got.
You have too many things going on.
I got like 6 different trains of thoughts. It's always it's not even, but it's like that because it's like everything's just kind of like loops that are just interconnected, and it's just always my biggest thing is always trying to connect things, figure out the connectivity of things, because I feel like that's really, and that's tied into understanding and perspective. Like people with really elevated perspectives, people with really deep understanding of things, like a lot of shit just makes sense to them, and like they kind of have inner peace, and they kind of just have inner, because they have that awareness and understanding, and that brings a calmness.
I feel that,
you know, and like that's kind of what, that's why I want to try to, as much knowledge and wisdom, you know, I'm trying to get in information too, but also figuring out which is the best and most beneficial information. And that's what I think is tricky in the age of social media, because it's like, you got, like I said, it's not a lot of thinking.
You're at a place that a lot of other people aren't.
Yeah.
No?
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, like, yeah, that's the whole, like, I recognize that, but it's like, it goes back to, like, my whole mission and goal. Like, what I'm trying to do is probably a lot different than what, like you said, it's not about the attention, it's not about the fame, it's really about the message. Like, I'm really trying to move a message and like move social change and like translate that and really see like that's why I say I'm about grassroots, and like I'm about like word of mouth, and I'm about like real genuine authentic interactions and experiences, and like none of that is necessarily on social media. I'm not saying it's not there, but I feel like it's a lot of, that's the minority of things there. Like, I don't know, but I'm not trying to make it sound like it's the worst thing in the world or it's terrible, but I'm just trying to, it's an awareness that it can hinder a lot of people. I just want people to be more aware of that.
Kyle gave us a little signal. I don't know what you're saying.
The dog's barking.
Oh.
It was earlier.
Oh. Man. I need to recalibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to recalibrate.
Sure. By the way, remember the Order of Turners? They had a fucking line all the way down. People buying the guns.
Yeah, for sure.
I looked at it, I was like, yep, guns.
Yeah. That's, and that's kind of just like where it's like, that's the direction. Because that is, but like you were saying, worst case scenario, it's like, but that's when you're saying it's a reflection of the selfishness, because it's like how quick, and I know my uncle kind of just says it's a reminder like how quick kind of the savageness comes out in people, you know, where it's like instantly me versus you. It's kind of like group and all that, but that's outdated. That's panic. We need calm. We need unity and solidarity. That's what I was thinking about earlier.
Yeah.
Solidarity was a big one, bro. Like, we needed, like, because it's like, it just essentially talks about unification for a common goal. And it's crazy because, like I was saying, this is our time to rethink everything. This is perfect because, like, the way we're rethinking everything and going about this, it gives me a hope, and it kind of feels like the closest thing to like a global synchronization, and like that's the exact response.
Because we're all affected by this.
Exactly, and that's the exact same response we need to treat climate change. Coronavirus, like this pandemic is gonna go away, but it's like the same mentality that we have, like social distancing, participating in practices that are gonna help everyone and like the masses, and that same approach has got to be used to global warming, and that's how it's gonna, because it's like that's a real thing too, but it's like that's the problem. It's like a lot of people, like stuff that people can't see tangibly and like don't have physical evidence of, they don't believe, or like they don't believe they're real. And like that's what global warming is. I feel like people are like, that's not a real thing, because it's crazy. Like you see, the picture of like when China was on quarantine, like how much I'm not sure, I think it was like the carbon footprint. Essentially, it was just talking about like it might have been like the ozone layers, but it was just essentially showing that how much it had gone down, because like the pollution's gone down, because like the factories are shut down and all that, and like this same response is exactly what we need for global warming. But like what's fighting that is the economic side. People that it's like they don't give a shit about global warming. They're trying to, all they're concerned about is the bottom line, is making money, is profit. It's like that literally is almost, though, like the thing is like that's what's getting in the middle and in the way of so much. That greed, the capitalism, you know what I'm saying, the desire for money, you know what I'm saying, and that's what capitalism and greed, I feel like, are tied hand in hand, because it's kind of like we were talking about before the podcast, where it's like there's a lot of good that comes from capitalism, like the competition and the innovation, like that is a good thing, but it's like I feel like capitalism unchecked and unregulated and like kind of just like free to do it at once is like that's where it gets out of hand. It's like competition. Like imagine if the NBA didn't have referees, or imagine if any sports league like shit would get out of hand.
Yeah.
Like anything, and it's like it's competition where it's like, what do people do in competition? They want to win. So if I want to win real bad, I might cheat. A lot of times people do cheat, and it's like that's the same thing in capitalism where it's like people are gonna cheat and people are gonna put profits over people, and that's what happens. Where it's like I don't really care about the humanity of it. I just care about the production of it and making as much money as possible. And that whole mentality, I feel like that is like almost intertwined with Americanness. You know what I'm saying? That's like what it's like. It's a land of opportunity, and it's the land of like, you know, you can get rich and make money, but it's like, I don't know. There's a dark side to that. There's like an underbelly to that that like doesn't always get talked about.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking too, man. Not even to piggyback off that. This is just a totally separate thought that I had that I don't think I got out, was how I felt about the media's portrayal of everything. And bro, like, we already said fuck the word woke, but I mean, like, if you're aware, the media does not always showcase the facts. 9 times out of 10, they don't showcase the facts. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy to me how impactful they have been in this whole thing and making everybody think this is, in my opinion, way worse than it really is. You know, like, not from the fact of how far it can spread and everything, but I feel like they've really catalyzed a lot of panic and stricken a lot of fear within people.
Yeah.
And I've seen, I saw this video, bro. I don't even know how true it is, but it was in China. And the caption had said, like, they went from having, like, 15,000 cases or 150,000 cases to 15 in a week. And there's a whole bunch of Chinese people taking off their masks, like, smiling and shit. And the same day, I remember I was driving home listening to the radio, and they had interviewed, bro, maybe about, like, 5 different people that had coronavirus. And they're healthy now.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much asking them their experience. You know what I mean? Like, how was it when you had it? Like, were you scared? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And every last one of those people was just like, yeah, it sucked, but, like, you can get through it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's regular. Like, it's a regular, you know, like, it's sickness. You know what I mean? But it's so funny to me, like, not everybody that gets it dies. And the number of people that have died compared to the number of the people that get it compared to the population of the whole world is minuscule. You know what I mean? And it's crazy to me how we just...
The hysteria and the panic.
Yeah, exactly. You know? How the media has driven, like, the hysteria and the panic. Everybody just thinks it's, you know, just... I don't know. It's like people really thrive off of negativity. You know?
That's
people
what
really,
it is.
People like that shit.
That's what it is.
You know, like, we know that most older people, young people, people with pre-existing conditions are passing away from this, but we still want to, like, you know what I mean? Just talk about it and be scared and shit. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, meanwhile, you have, like, people like Idris Elba, the actor. He got it.
Tom Hanks had it, and his wife had it. I think they got rid of it.
They got rid of it. Everybody.
The basketball players like that. All these basketball, like,
niggas
you think
is
they're
cool.
they're gonna be
niggas
fine.
Niggas is playing 2K.
They're gonna be fine.
Like,
exactly.
why are we acting like this?
And I'm not
bro?
trying to. Exactly. Like, I'm not trying to be insensitive to the people that have pre-existing conditions and all that, but it's just like this is more for a calmness.
Yeah.
To give people a sense of proportion and perspective. Like, yes, changes are going to be made to, like, living situations and, like, how the approach to everything, but it's like that remaining calm. You know, that because, like, just don't panic. You know, stop panicking. Like, the resources, it'll be like the solutions are on the way. You know what I'm saying? They just take time to think about, and it's like that's okay. That's a good thing. Like, panicking cuts into that time that you would be thinking about a solution.
Yeah. I remember I told you the other day about how, me personally, when I have to solve problems, I don't panic. I remember I told you a story about my auntie.
Oh yeah.
Somebody that I know caught on fire, and I put them out. But I was upset, bro, because, like, I shouldn't have had to be the one that put them out. Like, we were at a park, and you know how it was at like an outdoor, like, birthday party type thing, and you know how you have, like, those food trays and you have, like, the little fire coal shit that sits behind it to heat it up, the little heater. So I was out there and I'm standing in line to get my food, you know, and all of a sudden, like, a roll of paper towels, it just kind of, like, rolled over towards the thing. And the shit lit on fire. everybody looks at it. Oh, like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I don't get shaken by those things because I don't know if it's just conditioning, but my pops always told me since a little age, like, David, you have to think.
It's calmness.
You have to think in order to solve things, and I feel like it's a lot of things. Majority of us don't. We panic. That's it. You know, it's natural. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting on people's heads for panicking. I'm just saying.
Trying to point it out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to point it out. Yeah. So I slow down time in situations like that when things are going array and I'm trying to like think, and it's slow for me. Yeah. So the amount of time that this piece of, this toilet paper roll had rolled over, caught on fire before it then dropped into the grass, it was honestly like 4 seconds, maybe 5, but I saw this whole thing happen. You know what I mean? I'm breaking it down in real time, like slow motion. Yeah, I'm watching the shit unfold. So anyway, bro, paper towel rolls over. It catches on fire. It gets even bigger. Niggas go crazy. Scream at it. Oh shit! Look,
point
like,
at it.
Yeah, point at it.
Everything but put it out, bro. It's crazy, man.
What the fuck?
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real fire.
Yeah,
like,
shit.
Do something about it.
So the paper towels, bro, roll onto the grass. Like I said, onto the grass. By the grace of God, the grass didn't catch on fire. Somebody comes over and tries to stomp this shit out, bro. We need to think, bro. We need to think.
That's what's lacking, bro. That's what's
we need to think. Comes over, tries to stomp this shit out. Big ass roll of paper towels on fire. Tries to stomp it out. The roll of paper towels unravels, wraps around their leg, bro. Meanwhile, I'm like 4 or 5 people over because I'm just trying to fix my plate real quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm just in line to fix my plate. Bro, everybody just looking at this. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. I'm like, bruh, like, I just put my plate down, calmly walked over to the cooler that was right there, got a bottle of water, and just started pouring it. Calmly, bro. Calmly. Yeah. All of those, I should not have been the one that had to put it. I was literally like 6 people over. Yeah, exactly. I was the one that had to walk over and put that shit out. But I feel like that's just a testament to how we react to things.
Prime example.
You know what I mean? That's a prime example of how to react. Like, no. We don't need to panic to solve problems. We just need to slow down time. We need to think. We need to think about it. Everything will be okay. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that was a wild story. That shit was comedy though. It wasn't funny when it happened, but everybody was like, "What? Oh shit! Oh Jesus! Oh Jesus!" I'm just like, "Bruh, get the water. Put her out." Like, simple. Just the fact that she even thought to step on that shit though was like, dude. I saw it all go bad, man. I literally watched it all go bad. Like, man, niggas is tripping.
I just wonder. I wonder if that's tied into self-sabotage. You know what I'm saying? Because like we were talking about earlier, I wonder if people not understanding themselves causes them to really not know what's best for themselves. Because I remember I saw a commercial. It was just talking about. This was a man and a dog, and it was basically talking about how the dog doesn't know what's best for him, but like humans do. And it's like, it's low key. Like, what if it's some people that really don't know what's best for them? They like think because they don't know themselves, and like I say, so they keep getting in those toxic relationships. They keep doing all that toxic behavior, you know what I'm saying, one night stands or whatever, like, because they don't really know, you know what I'm saying, who they are.
I think that's the exact reason why it keeps on happening.
Facts.
I honestly feel like, I mean, not to name any names, but
everybody knows.
I've been close archetypes. To that I observed to.
You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Exactly. And it's funny because it seems like they want to tell everybody else how to live, you know? Yeah. And it's like, you know, then personally, it's kind of like, yo, you don't even really know. You know what I mean? You're not even sure about your own life. Like, not to be judgmental, but it's just an observation, you know? but I think that's the root in that, bro. That
disconnect.
That disconnect, exactly. Not even being aware of exactly who you are. Right. And maybe I've come to find, just from my conversations, like ever since we've started this, obviously conversations have been opening up with like a lot of different people. Yeah. A lot of people are aware, but aren't necessarily like willing to make that change or willing to live a certain way.
It's like the opposite. Like we say, like, what are people like trying to live for? And like it was the conversation we were having a while back with Brennan when it's like, well, what else are you gonna live for? Some people like reverse it. It's like, life is meaningless, so I'm just gonna bullshit it away. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the kind of, not saying that, like the YOLO mentality. You know what I'm saying? When people are big on that, where it's like, I mean, it's like the opposite of it. Where it's like people are like, I'm going to take it for granted. I'm going to waste it because it's like, it's meaningless. But it's like, it's all about your approach. If you think it's meaningless, then it's going to be meaningless. You know what I'm saying? If you think it's important and valuable, it's going to be important and valuable. It's like all about the approach.
That almost makes me think about this too. I'm here to be, I guess, not to be judged. You know what I mean? But I feel like this is a pretty like neutral thing to say. Like what I'm about to say. I don't feel like a lot of people are going to agree. I feel like some people could be on the other side of it. But just my observation, bro, from like, I find it really interesting how when somebody passes away, like you take like a figure like Kobe Bryant or a figure like Nip, somebody like that. We all talk about how great these people are. You know what I mean? We're always like, oh, like, you know, this person, they did this, they did that, like they stood for this. And it's a universal thing. That's why we miss them so much, you know, because of the impact that they've made, because of the way that they live their life, right? Yeah. So it's hard for me to understand the fact that we can recognize what good character is supposed to be and still choose to do the opposite. That is so crazy to me, because it's like, if we can universally recognize these people as being great, then why not live like that? It don't make, you know what I mean? I don't necessarily get that. Now I understand people have different circumstances, and I feel like some people may have a distorted definition of what success is or what it means, you know what I mean, to accomplish something, or people have other factors in their life that may not necessarily allow them to reach, I don't know, certain heights or whatever. I feel like a lot of people have a fucked up meaning of what it means to be successful. You know what I mean? Because it's not money. It has nothing to do with money or anything material. Or you can, bro, I've seen examples of homeless people, because my dad used to talk to homeless people a lot. I've seen homeless people, bro, they have a way better mentality than people that I know that have, you know what I mean, a whole bunch of money for real. And they have nothing to show for it but themselves. But it's just really interesting to me how we're aware, those instances show me that we're aware of what good character is. You know, we're aware of the examples of, you know, how you'd probably want to live your life, but we still choose to not live our life like that.
Yeah, it's the easy way.
Kind of crazy to me. Yeah,
that's why. Easy. And so it's like people are like, and that's what, it's easier to not care. Mm-hmm. It's easier to be like, I know, like I could be conscious and I could care about everything, but it's like that's way more work. It's like the same thing with like eating. It's like I could eat healthy, but it's like that fast food is fast. It's right there. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm not gonna say it's human nature, but a lot of people are gonna be more inclined to take the easy option. Yeah. And like that's not I'm not gonna say it's universal, but I think that's like a commonality, like a common thing for people to just. It's like the saying about the path. You know what I'm saying? Most people are gonna take a concrete, a definite path versus like taking something that's gonna be bumpy or different or like a different route, you know. But it's like, and that's all it is, you know. People are gonna taking the easy way out versus like taking the harder way.
Yeah. Maybe I'm biased just because that's the way that I'm thinking because of all the stuff that I do. You know what I mean? Like the path that I want to take.
Exactly.
It's a path that isn't even existing.
You're willing to see exactly. And I'm the same way. Like I want to forge my own path.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not following a path. Exactly.
Yeah, make them own. So it's like
that takes work. That takes belief. That takes understanding, and all that is opposite of the easy way. Yeah. It's like people look at it like I can do all that, or it's like I can just follow what somebody else has done. Mm-hmm. You know.
But I feel like it doesn't even necessarily make it easy because you're following what somebody else has done. I feel like
you don't gotta think.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it easier. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're forging your own path, you gotta figure out like how am I gonna approach this? I can't just like you're going off people. You have a blueprint, but it's like you're making it up as you go too, and you have that creativity and that vision to do that. But it's like if people don't have that, then it's like
keyword is the vision.
Exactly. Yeah. And the people that don't have that, you know what I'm saying? That's the ones. And but see, for me, vision is kind of just tied into purpose too. It's like some people look ahead, some people cultivate that, some people have a personal vision of like what they want their life, their existence to be, and it's like some people don't. Yeah. And like that's the vision's a little separate from purpose, but it's like they're kind of similar where it's like it's something that's important to find, important to have too, because it's like it's kind of tied into direction because vision is really kind of what pushes it. So it's like you got to have some direction. If not, you're just going to get swayed and pushed all over the place. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I think that it needs to be said too that everybody has a purpose.
Everyone.
Every single one of us has a purpose. Yes. Don't ever think that your life is what. That's what my whole Stay Golden shit is about, bro. That's why I always say that. Like everybody has something to contribute to this world. And whether it's a bum on the street who's homeless or a billionaire, bro, I can take the same motivation from those two people. Yeah. That's something that I think about a lot. I can get the same inspiration from somebody who has $1 million that I can from somebody that has nothing. Okay. The same exact.
Same way you can learn something from both of them.
You can learn exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. So I mean, with that being said, it's like everybody is significant. You know, I mean, everybody means something. Everybody has a purpose. It's time. I think everybody needs to just try to find theirs, man.
That's what we're trying to get out. That's real, and if people did that, that would solve a lot of problems too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that would be a lot more happiness, a lot more peaceful interactions, just because people are doing kind of what they're passionate about.
It would,
versus just I gotta do what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying?
Would. I know, it definitely would. It would lead to more self-security. Self-security leads to vulnerability. Vulnerability leads to more openness. Mm-hmm. Openness leads to understanding. Understanding leads to perspective.
Stronger
that leads to peace, man.
Facts.
That leads to peace. But shit, I guess I'll wrap it up here. I give a shout out to everybody staying inside, man. Drop a little message about self-reflection. I usually close it out, but I want you to tell everybody something about self-reflection.
Man, and again, this is perfect because I want to preface this. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to live their life. I'm not trying to tell anyone what's right or what's wrong. I'm just trying to say what's important, what helped me. I'm telling from my experience, but self-reflection can be really valuable. And now's the perfect time that everybody has the time, because that's what it is. A lot of people just don't take the time to self-reflect and really kind of get in tune with how they're feeling, how things affect them, different influences. But now everybody I know for a fact that everybody does have some time now, you know what I'm saying?
Everybody in the house.
You know what I'm saying? In the house and everything. So just coming to terms, you know, the good and the bad, you know, really analyze it all and kind of
embracing it all.
Exactly.
Embracing it all for what it is.
Exactly.
Stop being afraid of it.
Exactly.
Stop being afraid of it.
You know what I'm saying? No one should know yourself better than you. Know your patterns, your cycles, your behaviors, all that. Like, you should know that. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, like the way I phrase, like, just psychoanalyze yourself. Like, people do need therapy and it'd be beneficial, but it's like sometimes you can be your own therapist. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes just
therapy
tap in.
Is just a conversation.
Exactly, it's a concept.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Well, with that being said, do you have any books?
Let me think.
I got a book.
Yeah.
I got a book. Because I talked about it a little bit. I want to talk about it a little bit more in a further podcast. This book is called The Secret by Rhonda Burns. It's about the law of attraction and manifestation. Believing in anything, to be honest, like believing in yourself, believing in whatever religion, God you subscribe to, just having faith, you know, it really teaches you the power of manifestation, really how powerful we are as people, you know. And that book really changed my life because it really let me know that I do have control, you know. And when you start to practice that, you start to see things change in your life, and things really aren't impossible, you know. So I guess I'll leave you with that book. With that being said, it's been episode 4 of Social Class.